KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First. My first thing every single day. Giving thanks, giving praises, asking for blessings from the Most High, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders. And then we go, go, go. It's Friday. Happy Friday. Happy YouTube. Happy Twitter. Happy Facebook. You can find us all those places at KBLA 1580 and talk to me. Now, Miles is always over there in the comments on the YouTube stream. But I check in. I check in from time to time, too. And I'm always on my socials. My personals are DiPrima Radio, DiPrimaradio. DiPrima Radio. My last name, my job. All of them. I'm there on all the platforms, Instagram, Twitter. Well, actually, Facebook, it says First Things First with Dominique DiPrima. But my YouTube channel is now called DiPrima Radio. Used to be Dominique B. DiPrima, but you know that B is for Baraka. And so, we doing things. The first hour, we look local. The second hour, we go national or wherever you want to go. All the way out to outer space if y'all want to do that. Hour 3, well, we do a deep dive with a person or persons of interest. Very excited to be interviewing Sherelle Dorsey from the publication The Plug. She is on the cutting edge of black tech, creators, new trends, and what is going on with the black entrepreneurs and startups in the space. A lot of interesting information. She also has a lot of resources, so you definitely want to check that out. Guess what? It's a Friday. See, on Fridays, I have my friends who are also happen to be KBLA correspondents on the line. Because why? Because it's nice to end Friday on a high note. Joining me today is the president founder of ES Advisors. He is a professional pundit and an official KBLA contributor, a Fox Soul contributor, and a dad. Ed Sanders, good morning.
A pundit. I love it. Good morning, Dominique. How are you?
I'm good. It didn't hit you, huh? You're a pundit.
That tickles on a Friday.
It's a weird title, though, right?
Wet Friday, I guess.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, it's already raining. I got my hat on and my hoodie. Hey, Friday casual.
Yeah, that part. Indeed.
But it actually sounds like this rain is about to get insane again. When I hear atmospheric river, and I feel like we've already had 2 or 3 in the past month, couple weeks. It is a bit a lot. Yeah.
It definitely feels like it. To have gone through a couple of years of dry water, we're getting more than our fair share. I know that my poor old house, I'm checking it every 5 minutes to make sure there's not a leak springing.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's, and we're lucky, right? We're not trapped in the mountains of San Bernardino behind roads that are not passable. And, the governor now has requested a presidential emergency declaration because we got another atmospheric river coming in, and those San Bernardino folks are not even all the way out yet. Like, they're starting to be able to get out in some areas, but it's still a crisis. So the governor has requested help from the feds. He says California is deploying every tool we have to protect communities from the relentless, deadly storms battering our state. What does that really do, Ed?
Well, it cuts through some red tape, right? And, I think the governor sees what we're seeing in news reports, that there are a couple people that have perished, while snowed in.
It's up to 13, Ed. 13 people. Yeah. That's insane. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, there are remote parts of the state, right? And it's that much snow that the roads are, more than closed. And that's the thing. The roads they are covered with feet of snow. And, again, you're counting the number up as high as 13. And, that you got to spring into action, because that means that there's still some more people that you have trouble doing welfare checks too, that sort of thing. And it's got to free up some extra additional funding so that you can get people either via helicopter or however they do it once the rain or snow has stopped to check in on people.
Yeah, I guess he's asking for some generators and road clearance equipment. I mean, why would we have that stuff? We never have this kind of, we never have these kind of storms. And now they're saying this latest one it might be warmer, although it doesn't feel like it today, which could cause flooding on top of, all this snow and some of the snowpack melting. So it sounds like it's going to be a mess for a minute. There's evacuation warnings in the mountain communities, in the foothills, and in the center of the state because of the mudslides and the flooding. And some places along the coast because they're worrying about levees breaking. So
yeah, and that's a very big concern. I mean, we hear levee break, and I immediately think of Hurricane Katrina hitting New Orleans, but levee breaks have always been very high on the disaster list of things to be prepared for in California. And, this is one of those scenarios where the water levels get high enough and, levees haven't really been tested like this in quite some time,
great
right?
point, yeah.
And so, you see them taking some steps, right? They've been releasing water through some of the dammed reservoirs to release some of that pressure, knowing that, as you said, and rightly so, that the warmer rain that's coming this time will melt some of the snowpack and put more water into the runoff system, right? And so, if you have too much water in the reservoirs, you run a very good risk of breaking through levees, breaking through some of the dams. But it sounds like they're doing what they can in preparation. Now we wait and see how, the game time, it's game time, and see what happens.
Yeah, Ed Sanders, I know water is one of the things in your portfolio that you work on, and we continue to hear this mantra that we're still in a drought. No matter how much it seems like we need to build an ark and grab two of everything, it seems like we keep getting this message. No, the drought is still on. Is that what you know based on your work around the issue of water justice?
Yeah, the answer is yes, and I say that just for simplicity's sake, right? It really is a multi-year question. This is 1 year. The past couple years have been very dry. So if you feel like 1 year can pull you out of a drought, this has been that year, right? There's been enough rain and snowpack to get the levels back above where they above average and in spaces where you wouldn't consider it a drought. I look at it over a multi-year, from a multi-year perspective, where while this year could be, a banner year in terms of water and rainfall, next year could be dry again, and the year after that could be dry again. And that's where our access to water gets called into question. We're really talking about, do we have enough water stored for the years where we don't get enough rainfall? And that question isn't answered yet.
Ed Sanders of ES Advisors Group, and you're always invited in. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. That's what we do around here. We put you on the mic, and we talk back. We definitely don't blag down. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates Women's History Month, sponsored by Walmart. As we celebrate Women's History Month this month, KBLA Talk 1580 would like to spotlight women leaders in our community who are creating positive change. If you or someone you know is making a difference in your community, please nominate them with a 50-word or less post on why you feel they should be included in the KBLA Women's Series, sponsored by Walmart. These women leaders will be featured on KBLA, interviewed on KBLA, and participate in a panel discussion hosted by Areva Martin in real time. Visit the KBLA app or log on to KBLA1580.com to nominate a woman in your community that is creating positive change. This has been a KBLA Talk 1580 Community Call to Action.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep your operation running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, Maria in Miami, and Jules in Troy, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with high-quality supplies for every industry, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Attorney Joe Cordell.
Divorce forces a father to focus on what's most important, his children. You may no longer be a husband, but you'll always be a dad. In the divorce process, this comes down to 3 key concerns: physical custody, decision-making, as well as financial support. Each of these is important, and it's important that you choose a lawyer that cares as much about these issues as you do.
1455 Frazee Road, Suite 1050, San Diego, California, 92108. CordellCordell.com.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Roll Charmin Ultra Strong when you drop in the beat. It cleans with way less effort on your seat. Yeah, roll it, drop it, yeah, roll it, drop it. Charmin flows extra strong from the road. Your butt hella clean while you're sitting on the bowl. Yeah, it's all you need for that bathroom groove. Get you in and out without nothing to prove.
Charmin Ultra Strong cleans better so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Ed Sanders is my partner in politics this morning, but so are you. 800-920-1580. Always love to hear from you on a Friday and every day. And I want to remind you I am hosting Black Women Are Divine. That's March 18th, and it's going to be from noon to 4. I'm assuming we won't have an atmospheric river that day. That's at Norman O. Houston Park. It's the park at the summit, right where all the roads meet at the top of the hill around here, La Brea and Overhill, and all the roads come together. There's that little park there, and this is honoring Breonna Taylor on the anniversary of her death at the hands of Louisville police. And it's a give back. It's a love up on Black Women Day. There's music, there's performances, food, healing services like massages. All of it is free. Free. So if you want more information, go to blmla.com. They have all the information there, including some special parking info. And, of course, that's coming up next weekend. So hope to see you there. I will be emceeing it, by the way. And this is, this is the 3rd year I've done it. And it's just the most underrated, unsung event that I do. So if you have a mama, a sister, a wife, an auntie that, deserves some pampering, this is definitely somewhere you want to be. Ed Sanders, I am agreeing with the LA Times editorial here. That's something I can't say every day. But it's, daylight savings time again, right? Where we spring forward. So that means we lose an hour of sleep. And I think in California, we voted to make this stop. It's like, now suddenly it's an hour later. So everybody, F your circadian rhythm. And I think as a parent, you probably feel it more than others because our kids have their sleep messed up. They, and pets the same thing. They don't know you changed the clock. They're just living their lives, right? And so it creates all kinds of problems. And it's something that we do for, I don't know really why. I do remember it was supposed to be good if you were on a farm. But most people are in cities now. Yeah, we did. We passed the Sunshine Protection
Right.
Act, right? So that wasn't just California. No, we didn't pass that. That was the national one. I don't know what the California one was, but we oh, it was Prop 7. We wanted to get rid of the, moving the clock forward, back, forward, back. Marco Rubio tried to pass one on the national stage, and I guess apparently he's trying it again. And once again, a rare moment where I agree with Marco Rubio.
Yeah, the super rare moment.
Yeah.
I think you're right. If I'm remembering right, it had everything to do with sort of the farm life that you wanted to get the workday to be aligned or to get more hours in the daylight. It's also weird, right? Like, it's also been such a part of life that it feels like a big change to not have it. Honestly. But
sometimes change is good, Ed. Look, Hawaii doesn't have it, and Arizona has, like, they don't have it, but there's one little part of the state where there's an indigenous First Nations reservation where they do have it. So it's different times in different parts of it. It's so random to me. 18 states have already said they want to get rid of it, and I hate it because I do morning radio. Now all of a sudden it's pitch black when I have to go out again. Boo.
Yeah, I mean, like, spring forward, fall back. But the opposite is true on the other side of the year. It's like, you get that hour sleep or you lose the hour, and it's, I don't know. I will react to it. I don't know that I even voted for that. I don't remember.
Oh, I remember. Because I was on the radio saying, vote for this. We must end the madness. And, they're saying that some studies are showing that there's a link between more traffic accidents and more heart attacks and daylight savings, not to mention bad sleep, which, leads to all kinds of other problems like road rage and people doing dumb stuff because they're tired. I mean, sleep deprivation is actually really, really detrimental to the human body.
Yeah, I mean, when you mention something like that, it begins to make a lot more sense, and to that point about the agrarian calendar and schedule, there are other things that we should look at as well. I mean, like, we were, joking about being parents, but the number of schools that are pushing back their start time to accommodate more sleep for younger children and young people who need more sleep is happening as well. And that, I think now, to your point about us being in an urban society, we can react, and shape our lives to the world without, you know what I mean? Like, we don't have to be bound by the 1800 rules of the farmer's life.
Well, a huge, I think it's huge, decision by a jury here in Los Angeles. They found an LAPD officer personally liable for the injury to a protester that happened during the demonstrations of 2020. Dion Jones was shot in the face by one of those so-called non-lethal or less lethal weapons, a projectile. He had some injuries to his face, pretty serious. And the jury found this officer liable for $375,000. Peter Bueno is his name. They did not rule that the officer had discriminated against him or deprived him of his First Amendment rights. Nevertheless, this is pretty rare. For an officer to be personally held accountable for the use of force, I have never heard of that. I'm sure it probably has happened, which means we don't know how this money would be paid. Maybe the city picks up the tab like they do when the city is the one being sued. But I think it's pretty significant. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, it is, and I think that's what makes it, one, significant, and two, historic. Generally, and not just generally, police have been shielded, their actions have been shielded under really the color of their profession, right? And we've talked a lot and done a lot around bringing more accountability to officers, but you hadn't really seen it take place, and you hadn't seen verdicts extend through to the officer directly, right? We've seen a lot of verdicts that put settlements on the departments and ultimately the cities and ultimately the taxpayers to try to correct this, but the bad actors themselves, could either just get fired or put on desk duty, and this one sends a real message to officers that your malicious actions could actually cost you. And it's something that we've said all along, is that you've got to hold the individual officers accountable for their actions, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't, they'll continue to do it. You referenced at the beginning, the summit and the event that you're going to hold at the top of
Black
La Brea
Women Are
and
Divine.
Stockton.
Yes.
Yeah, and the key about that, or what I picked up on that, it's also in honor of sort of the anniversary of Breonna Taylor's death, and
Right.
coupled with that, the DOJ this week released its report on Louisville police, and the basic byline there, and no surprise, is that the police department was corrupt, that you had just a culture there that allowed for the police to, one, prey on the community, but more so even on just they ran without the checks and balances, and the checks and balances are what's important to keep officers' actions in line.
Yeah.
This verdict today does that.
And I think
we'll see how it unfolds.
I think you're right. That's what we've been saying all along. If they had to pay, if they had some personal liability, it would be different. But to your point, the Justice Department found that the Louisville Police Department has a pattern in practice, including using excessive force, unjustified neck restraints, and unreasonable use of dogs and tasers, conduct searches on invalid warrants like Breonna Taylor, unlawfully execute search warrants without knocking and announcing, unlawfully stop searches and detains and arrest people during street enforcement activities, unlawfully discriminates against black people in its enforcement activities. I mean, make it plain, Justice Department. Violates the rights of people engaged in protected free speech, critical of policing, and, along with Louisville Metro, discriminates against people with behavioral health disabilities when responding to a crime. That's pretty comprehensive.
It really is, and it spells out, the in black and white, very clearly all of the issues that we think plague the Louisville Police Department, and it's not just the Louisville Police Department, right? You can walk across most police departments in the South and the Midwest, particularly those that have African American populations, and we've talked about this. Policing in America, has a special, desire to inflict trauma on our community, and they've set themselves up to do so.
Yeah.
Really without accountability. It's funny. We were laughing with some friends this week. Well, not laughing, but concerned about LAPD's desire for this robot dog.
Yeah.
And you see it in the DOJ report, how they call out the use of dogs.
Yeah, and they don't even have the robots yet. We got news, traffic, and sports right here, Ed Sanders. Of course, that relates to Cop City, too, and the protests there. All that and more after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Welcome to a Friday. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Criminal charges may be on the way for former President Trump over his alleged role in hush money payments made to an adult film star. The New York Times reported the Manhattan District Attorney's Office has offered Trump his right to testify before a grand jury next week. The probe centers around a payment to Stormy Daniels before the 2016 presidential election. This next story is out of Massachusetts. The Northampton City Council recently voted to form a commission to study the possibility of reparations for black people. In a resolution, the City Council apologized for past decisions that contributed to discrimination. Northampton would join the town of Amherst, which formed a $2 million reparations fund in 2022. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Stop going it alone for recruiting and staffing. Choose a local expert. Hiring is about getting to know people, not algorithms. So let the team at Express Employment Professionals hire for you. Visit expresspros.com to find the office near you.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Second round action Thursday in the Pac-12 tournament in Las Vegas. UCLA beats Colorado by 11. The Bruins get a career-high 26 points from freshman guard Amari Bailey. The Bruins advance to tonight's semifinal against Oregon, 6 p.m. tip-off. The Bruins have their sights on a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. USC, the number 3 seed in the Pac-12 tournament, lose by 5 to Arizona State. The Lakers will have D'Angelo Russell back in the lineup for tonight's game against Toronto. Russell missed the last 6 games with a sprained right ankle. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by Original Taco Pete.
Aaron at Original Taco Pete's. Come in today for our tasty seasoned black taco. We're at 3272 West Slauson off Crenshaw, or call 323-348-4441.
KBLA Talk 1580 would like to thank all of the businesses that tune into KBLA at work. We celebrate you, your calls to the station, and your overall support. To show our appreciation, we would like to treat your office to lunch for 10, sponsored by John O'Groats family-owned restaurant and johnogroats.us. Open the KBLA Talk 1580 app or log on to KBLA1580.com to submit your office to be selected for our Office of the Week. We know you're just like our staff, putting in many hard, smart working hours per week. We just want to say thank you, and we appreciate you. You and your staff deserve lunch on us. Enter your office to win lunch for 10 and be highlighted on KBLA Talk 1580 as our Office of the Week. Open the KBLA app or log on to KBLA1580.com to enter your office today to become the KBLA Talk 1580 Office of the Week. Sponsored by John O'Groats family-owned restaurant and johnogroats.us. Become the KBLA Talk 1580 Office of the Week. This has been a KBLA Talk 1580 community call to action. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. I was able to speak with Kate Luzio, former banking executive and now owner of Luminary, who partnered with Chase for this tour. She makes it her business to build community for business owners.
Yeah, so I was a banker for 20 years before I decided to become an entrepreneur. 7 of those years were actually at JP Morgan Chase. One of the biggest things that I had going into my entrepreneurial journey was a big background in banking.
So what advice are you giving business owners looking for financial backing today?
So Chase brings in so much knowledge and the opportunity to understand what financial tools are out there for business owners to build, grow, and scale their business. A lot of business owners will say, well, I need to get a loan immediately. Well, you wouldn't just lend money to your friend if you didn't know why they needed it. I tell every business owner, you need a business plan, you need financial projections, you need a banker. Because you have to start building a relationship with a banker so that they get comfortable with how you're going to build that business and so that they can eventually support you in different ways.
Makes sense. So visit the Chase Community Center on Crenshaw and Vernon. Meet a banker today. Tell them about your business. I'm Maisha Cairo in the community for KBLA with JP Morgan Chase.
Are
you working way too hard for way too little? There's never been a better time to consider a career in IT. You could enjoy a recession-resistant career in a rewarding field with plenty of growth opportunities and often flexible work environments. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. You can start your new career in months, not years. Take classes online or on campus, and financial aid is available to qualified students, including the GI Bill. Now's the time. Go to mycomputercareer.edu.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
And my partner in politics, Ed Sanders. Tell him how to keep track of you, Mr. Sanders, how to follow you, and all that good stuff.
Oh, I'm an easy guy. Just Edward M. Sanders at Twitter. That's really the only social media handle I track these days.
Okay. Keep it simple. Edward M. Sanders. You can find me, of course, at DiPrima Radio. I like to tweet. My favorite is Instagram, though. You got to get on Instagram, Ed. Instagram is so easy. It's designed for your phone. I guess Twitter is, too. But anyway, I'm at DiPrima Radio on IG, and that's probably my favorite platform, just because it's a kinder, gentler space, you know. You don't get as many mean comments.
I wish Elon hadn't bought Twitter.
Yeah, well, ever since he bought it, my followers have been steadily diving. I mean, they have been steadily climbing for whatever 10 years. I don't have that many, but it's been slowly building over like 10 years or whatever that I've been on there. But ever since Elon Musk has gone, it started going the other way. It's steadily declining. Follow me, please, DiPrima Radio.
Yeah, exactly. It's like owning a Tesla. Not very few people are buying it anymore.
Interesting. Yeah, so come on over to IG where people aren't quite as mean, and they're, it's true they like to show you their butts, but they're not as mean. I get some mean tweets, not too many. We have to touch on the trial, the corruption trial of Mark Ridley Thomas. I think it's a really tough time for the city of LA, especially for Black LA. At least I'm going to say this. I should speak for myself. It's a tough time for me because I feel like this man has given so much, done so much for our community, and been an incredibly effective lawmaker who has also paved the way for lots of other lawmakers just by virtue of the Empowerment Congress, and his work to mentor various people. And I've always said that I feel like Los Angeles and California, we have a really good leadership. I mean, despite all the complaints about corruption at City Hall and such, which is a problem. But if you look overall, we've got Maxine Waters. Before she was elected mayor, we had Congresswoman Maxine Waters and Congresswoman Karen Bass. I mean, we have so many qualified people that you have people, fighting over these spots who are all well qualified to sit in them. So, I've always said that, and I think that one reason for that is the work, the mentorship, and the sort of role modeling of Mark Ridley Thomas. So this I think it's a tough time.
Yeah, I agree. And, even to further your point, when you think about Mark, he is at the advent of community organizers ascending to public office here in Los Angeles, right? I can think back to when he was at SCLC and organizing clergy within Los Angeles, his relationships with all of the key agencies and organizations that do the work that impact our community, whether you're talking about education or health or any of those, all had relationships with him. And through the years, he's delivered on policies that help them do their work better and ultimately, help deliver policies that make our community better. And, to your point, when you look at sort of the arc of his history and then to know that he's going into trial this week for the issues over there at SC, it's sad, right? I mean, it definitely puts a melancholy mood on the day because of all of the good work that he did.
Yeah, and honestly, continues to do as much as he can. I mean, he's still a city council member, and he's not allowed to take another job, but he's been suspended by his colleagues. I love, I love the point that his lawyer made, which is that a supervisor, there's 5 people on the Board of Supervisors. These accusations stem from when he was over supervisorial District 2. And that those 5 people do not get to independently decide anything. Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas can't just show up one day and say, okay, we're going to give $1 billion to USC. I mean, they have, just like council members, they have discretionary funds, but they're not in the millions or billions. They're in the thousands. So for the most part, these kinds of decisions have to be voted on by the entire board. And I think that's an important point.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, ultimately there is some question for the other supervisors involved as to how well they vetted the items. And, every board meeting there are, tens and tens of, even up to 100 different items on an agenda. How the items come forward, who's vetted them, whether all of the different supervisors have had a chance to review all those items. Ultimately, that is their responsibility, right? And so you would hope that there had been some oversight there.
Well, yeah, and the attorneys, they alleged, now I'm talking about the attorneys for council member Mark Ridley Thomas, they alleged that the investigation was sloppy and that it really looked only at USC and not really at the workings of the Board of Supervisors, which is interesting because, there's a lot of rumors and speculation, which I'm not going to repeat because I'm not in the business of repeating rumors and speculation, but those have to do with what prompted this sudden, this sudden investigation or this case against Ridley Thomas, what was happening at USC or what was happening at the county that made this move up the priority list in something where, voting to give contracts to your alma mater, which is a economic engine of your district and which is well qualified to do the work, is, to me, something a supervisor is meant to do.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that any supervisor in the county of Los Angeles wouldn't have a relationship with USC. And, you can write that narrative to sound like, oh, it's a cozy relationship and, there's something bad about it. But your point is well taken. USC is a top 15, top 20 university in the country. It is one of the largest, if not the largest employer in the county of Los Angeles. I may be off, but let's just say I know that it is one of the top employers in the county of Los Angeles. The amount of grant money that a university the caliber of USC brings into the state, county, local community is immense. And so, yeah, you form a relationship with the university, not just USC, but UCLA as well. And that's one of the things that makes Los Angeles a special place is that we have two universities of that caliber that act as anchors and fuel the development of our future workforce.
Yeah.
So at any rate, you can write about that in different ways.
Absolutely praying for him. It's a risky move to just not plead out and go against the feds, and I just pray that he prevails. Nancy is calling us from Virginia. Good morning, Nancy. Nancy, you're on with Ed Sanders and Dominique DiPrima. Welcome.
Good morning. I'm sorry.
I
didn't want to be on the air.
Oh, okay. Well, call again when you do. Always good to hear from you. I'm glad you have our number. If you are not like Nancy and you do want to be on the air, you can call us at 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. It's KBLA Talk 1580. As always, we've got a lot to talk about.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut broke records opening weekend. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News, brought to you by Lendistry. The highly anticipated Creed 3 premiered in theaters early March. The film is Michael B. Jordan's first time directing and starring in a film. Creed 3 is the third movie of the successful franchise. Not only has it broken global opening weekend records, earning over $100 million worldwide, but it's also the biggest opening ever for a black director in their directorial debut. It was also the biggest opening weekend of all Creed movies.
Thanks to our new sponsor, Lendistry. Lendistry is a national black-led small business lender that is headquartered in Los Angeles. Lendistry helps small business owners access the affordable capital needed to grow. Visit Lendistry, LENDISTRY.com/KBLA today.
KBLA Talk 1580 welcomes the U.S. premiere of the Bob Marley One Love Experience. Open now through April 23rd at Ovation in Hollywood. Enter to win a pair of VIP tickets on the KBLA app or KBLA1580.com. A One Love Experience poster, vinyl record, and souvenir. This has been a community call to action brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks to our new sponsor, Lendistry. Lendistry is a national black-led small business lender that is headquartered in Los Angeles. Lendistry helps small business owners access the affordable capital needed to grow. Visit Lendistry, LENDISTRY.com/KBLA today.
Is child support taking your money? Did you know that states receive $500 million a year in incentives to put people on child support and find them guilty in those same state hearings? Log on to childsupportersfraud.com for more information.
California is a great place to live and work, but those aren't easy things to do for students also going to college. That's why the state created the Californians for All College Corps, a way for students to build skills and help others while earning up to $10,000 for school. Commit to serve your community and we'll help you pay for college. Spots will fill up fast, so learn more and apply today at www.cacollegecorps.com. That's www.cacollegecorps.com. California is a great place to live and work, but those aren't easy things to do for students also going to college. That's why the state created the Californians for All College Corps, a way for students to build skills and help others while earning up to $10,000 for school. Commit to serve your community and we'll help you pay for college. Spots will fill up fast, so learn more and apply today at www.cacollegecorps.com. That's www.cacollegecorps.com.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Man, so much to talk about. We never get to all of it, Ed Sanders, but Carl called and he wanted to ask about the Huntington Beach situation. The governor putting his foot down, saying that, you know, the city has to go along with creating a housing plan. Every city is supposed to have a housing plan that includes their goals for affordable housing. And Huntington Beach says, no, we don't want that. We don't want all this affordable housing. We don't want more people. Gavin Newsom announcing lawsuits yesterday, saying that Huntington Beach is an example of what's wrong with housing in California. And now Huntington Beach says they're suing the state because they are saying that the affordable housing mandates are unconstitutional or illegal. They have a right as a city to do what the heck they want. You can't make us create housing for poor people. It's a similar conversation that's playing out in other cities. The city of Santa Monica just set aside 2 parking lots to be 100% affordable housing. It was pushed by, developers because the city of Santa Monica does not have a housing plan, an affordable housing plan. So they're saying there that the California Surplus Land Act requires government agencies to prioritize building affordable housing. this NIMBY thing, not in my backyard. Yeah, we don't want unhoused, but we don't want any low-income housing in our city, is shaping up to be a big battle between cities and the state of California. And Rob Bonta says that if Huntington Beach continues to move forward with the plan that they have put forth, that he will sue them as well.
Yeah, and I caught wind of this, but I hadn't read the story on it. But I would raise up right away with Huntington Beach. There's a racial undercurrent to it, and when you say affordable housing, I think to the GOP base that's in Huntington Beach, that sounds like black and brown people, right? And they for sure don't want that. I think the other thing to look at and consider with them is the value of property. And, we've talked before about how past generations, particularly of African Americans and Latinos, have been cut out of, the being able to transfer generational wealth through property. And when you look at what Huntington Beach has done from the value of its property, say from 1940 to now, it's an astronomical number. I mean, the city sits on the coast in a prime area, and so now you have people that are relatively wealthy there just by owning a home in their family for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And it creates this wall of wealth that makes it very difficult for people to afford living space. And so kudos to the governor, kudos to Rob Bonta on taking action there.
It's funny you say that because I'm looking at the pictures. I hadn't prepped this article either. Carl just called in, but it was an interesting point. And it's a whole bunch of white people holding signs that say "Save Our City," one with a big American flag hat. And it is. It's like Bruce's Beach 2023. Instead of getting you out by eminent domain, we'll get you out by not allowing, air quotes, affordable housing. Ed Sanders is my guest, and you're welcome in. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
Need legal help? Attorney Jovan Blacknell is an aggressive trial attorney specializing in criminal defense and civil litigation. Look no further than the law office of Jovan Blacknell. From personal injury to criminal defense, Jovan Blacknell has the knowledge to protect your rights. The law office of Jovan Blacknell understands the stress and anxiety that come with legal issues. That's why the law office of Jovan Blacknell supports the right to a fair trial. For Los Angeles Council member Mark Ridley Thomas, are you facing a legal battle? Log on to fightforjustice.com. Don't go through it alone. Let the law office of Jovan Blacknell fight for your rights. Log on to fightforjustice.com. Let the law office of Jovan Blacknell take the worry and stress out of your case. Call 310-469-9117 today for a free consultation. That's 310-469-9117 or log on to fightforjustice.com. Law office of Jovan Blacknell, where experience and dedication make the difference.
Hi, it's me, Gia Peppers. Tune in to More Than That live on radio this weekend or wherever you listen to podcasts. This week, I'm talking to our guests, Carmion Hamilton and Jewel Pearson, who share how DIY and tiny homes can allow us to reimagine where we live and the spaces we love. This episode of More Than That is brought to you by Kroger, making fresh food more accessible for our local communities.
It is 1,000% imperative that Black people enjoy the environments that they are in. We, as a people, have gone through enough over the last 400 years. The least we could do for ourselves is exist in a space that we feel good about being in. And I tell people, even if you don't see it together in the inspiration that you're looking for, the fact that you love these things, like, it may not go together for anybody else. It may not make sense to anybody else, but the fact that you love them, that is the thread. And so it will absolutely go together when it's pulled together in your space. It will make sense to you because it's your space.
I wanted to
make decisions that were based on what does Jewel want to do versus how much money do I have in my bank account. And that's kind of when I pivoted and decided that I was building a tiny house on wheels and started the research, and here I am. I think I'd start with the very cliche, less is more, for one thing, and then build from there. Because I don't feel like I have given anything up in this process, and that I attribute to the design of my home. And I have all of the things in my home because before I actually built, I knew who I was and what I needed to have in this space. You don't have to give up luxury to go tiny.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Ed Sanders, as always, it's great to have you on. I don't want to let you leave today without at least touching on the fact that the LA County Board of Supervisors fired the head of the probation department this week on Tuesday. Adolfo Gonzalez got his pink slip. He was brought in not long ago, a little over a year ago, to turn things around after coming from San Diego, after the state found that our treatment of children in lockup is unsuitable. And he had been pressured to resign, didn't resign. Remember the video of that 17-year-old that the probation officers were restraining violently, and he never resigned. And this week, all the supervisors, including Catherine Barger, who almost always sides with law enforcement, said, get to step in. And, obviously this is the first step, because our probation system, our juvenile system, was already in disarray before he got there, and it sounds like it's worse now.
Yeah, and therein is the rub, right? Like, I think, well, not even this board of supervisors, I think has been laser focused on trying to correct the probation department, which is, we could probably do a 4-hour show on just that and the issues that plague the department. And then when you bring in a director, you still have what was a very high profile video of with a 17-year-old child. You look to see a department head move with the action to correct, the department, to set the department right. And when it doesn't happen, you want that person removed, and the supervisors took that action. So really kudos to them.
Yeah. When I read, I didn't realize this, that Gonzalez, and some other authorities decided to move all the kids out of Central Juvenile Hall and stuff them all into the Nydorf Juvenile Hall in Sylmar to prevent a bad report, which, of course, is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
So we saw a spike in violence, injuries, and all
Right.
kinds of other things happening there.
Criminal. That's criminal. I mean, that's trying to avoid accountability, right? We talked about this with regards to the sheriff. I mean, if you saw something like this going on in the jail system, which you might,
Right.
you would want the sheriff to be held accountable. That was part of the problem with Villanueva before. In this case, what you're hearing about that is, trying to hide from not just the supervisors, but the public, the problems within your department, and trying to be cute about it through official actions. And that's a horrible place for a department head to be, and frankly for the staff that carried out those designs that could see exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, we need to just completely, not an abolitionist, but in this case, abolish and rebuild, because you just can't treat children that way. Ed Sanders, thank you so much for joining this morning. Appreciate you always.
Indeed. Good talking to you. Talk to you soon.
Happy Friday. We're taking your phone calls after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A Virginia judge used a 19th century slavery law to rule that frozen embryos are property.